Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. In today's video, I'm going to break down how I was approved for a $25,000 business line of credit from Wells Fargo, and I didn't need to provide any documentation. I'm also going to tell you how you can get approved for up to $150,000 without income verification or traditional documentation. We'll also discuss how higher approvals work and when documents are required and why relationship banking matters more now than ever before. And by the time you finish this video, you'll understand Wells Fargo better than most of the business owners applying today. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So let's start with a hard truth that most people don't want to hear. Most business owners don't get denied for funding because banks dislike them or anything personal. They get denied because they don't understand how banks actually think. You guys have to understand that banks are not emotional. They're just institutions. They make money and it's primarily from interest. They're not impressed by your stories. They don't care how badly you want money. They care about risk, structure, and predictability. Wells Fargo is consistently ranked as one of the top 4 largest banks in America, usually the 4th by total asset behind JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Citigroup, forming the big 4 major US banks. Large banks have lending power that smaller institutions simply can't match. When Wells Fargo approves a business, they are capable of scaling that relationship into 6 or even 7 figures over time. However, with that size comes structure and caution. Wells Fargo is not a startup lender. They are not built for taking on wild risk on an unproven business. They want stability, consistency, and predictability. Right now, Wells Fargo offers one unsecured business line of credit and one secured line of credit. The first is called the Business Line of Credit, and it starts at $10,000 and goes up to $150,000 for businesses that have been operating for 2 years or more. For businesses under 2 years old, you can still get approved for this same unsecured business line of credit, but for you, it's going to be up to $50,000. So if you want to qualify for the full $150,000, you will need to be in business for 2 years or longer. The second option that I'll cover very briefly is the prime line of credit. Now, this is not the main one that we're talking about, but I just want to make you aware. This one will range from $100,000 to $500,000, but your business should have annual revenue of $2 to $25 million. Now, these lines of credit are revolving. That means you can draw from them, you can pay them down, and you can reuse them repeatedly. They do not report to your personal credit report, and the main one that we're discussing today is going to be the business line, which is the unsecured line of credit, meaning it doesn't require any collateral. And in many cases, this business line of credit will not require income documentation. This is the kind of liquidity that you want access to during economic uncertainty, a market downturn, or when opportunities suddenly appear. So whether you're purchasing real estate, you're scaling an e-commerce brand, you're funding payroll, or anything else in between, this is strategic capital. Now, I know this was a lot of information, but don't let that intimidate you. Wells Fargo is methodical, but they're no different than any other bank. If you understand their method, approvals can become repeatable. If you ignore it, then denial feels random and unfair. But one of the biggest shifts that you have to understand is how relationship-driven Wells Fargo has become. While they were never reckless, they are now far more focused on how long you've been in their ecosystem before extending you meaningful credit. So this brings us to one of the most important changes you need to understand. As of 2026, Wells Fargo strongly prefers and in many cases requires approximately 1 year of relationship history for a business line of credit approval. However, this was not always the case. For example, when I was approved for my business line of credit with Wells Fargo, my account was not 1 year old. There was a time when brand new businesses with brand new Wells Fargo accounts were receiving $15,000 to $25,000 business lines of credit with no prior history. Based on what I've been hearing from viewers in my one-on-one coachings, that window appears to be closed. If you want access to Wells Fargo's business line of credit product now, you need to start the clock early. Once again, in my experience, I didn't have to wait 1 year, but I highly recommend that you watch my video on the Wells Fargo Signify Business Credit Card. That's a great place to start building a relationship, and you can get up to $20,000 for an initial starting limit. At least that's the most that I've seen, and you can get that with 0% APR for 12 months, and that's available as of the time of recording this video. The best thing you can do at this time is open a Wells Fargo business checking account and a savings account as soon as you're serious about funding, not when you're desperate for it. You don't need to keep massive balances in the account. What matters is consistent activity, clean transactions, and of course, time. If you're building a funding sequence across multiple banks, Wells Fargo should be aging quietly in the background while you work on other approvals. Then, when your relationship matures, you apply from a position of strength instead of urgency. Now, let's talk about what Wells Fargo is actually looking for. On the personal credit side, Wells Fargo primarily pulls Experian. Ideally, you want to have at least a 700 credit score or higher, but to be honest, I recommend like a 725. Anything below that should be optimized before applying. Now, understand that a credit score alone is not enough. You need clean credit. That means low utilization, limit recent inquiries, and a history that shows responsible usage with higher limits. On the business side, Wells Fargo looks at Experian Business and the Small Business Scoring Service Score, your SBSS score, and an Experian score of 80 or higher is ideal. An SBSS score of 180 or higher is ideal as well in this situation. Now, I want to be clear, this is a no documentation approval when your personal credit profile is clean and your relationship with Wells Fargo is strong. Wells Fargo does not want transactional borrowers, they want relationships. So if you want to access business lending, you need to open your business checking account and a savings account. There's no way around this. This is the foundation of this strategy. So now that we understand exactly what they're looking for as far as data points, let's talk about some same-day opportunities inside the branch. Now, this is not referring to the business line of credit, but some other things that you can actually get approved for that will enable you to actually get this business line of credit in the future. Now, some bankers will tell you that you need to wait 60 days before applying for any type of credit. Others will allow you to apply same day, and some will tell you that you need 6 to 9 months of history. Others will submit applications immediately. There seems to be no rhyme or reason, but this is why the bankers matter more than the bank. When I opened my Wells Fargo business account, I went in branch and I had a horrible experience at the first location that I went to. However, the next location I went to is where I received my approvals. Your job is to call multiple Wells Fargo branches and speak with multiple business bankers until you find one who understands business lending. When you walk into the branch, you're not asking for $150,000. You're trying to open a relationship. You want to bring your articles of organization, your EIN letter, your operating agreement, your identification documents, and your initial deposit. You want to clearly state that you would like to establish a business banking relationship and you want to explore some business lending options. When Wells Fargo opens your business checking and your savings, they typically run a soft pull on your Experian personal credit. Now, based on that soft pull, some clients receive instant pre-approvals. One common offer will be the Wells Fargo Signify Business Credit Card, as we discussed before. Also, if you want the Wells Fargo Signify card, you need to apply in branch if your account is less than 90 days old. So that is one thing that I learned. I tried to apply for this card like right after opening my account online. I could not even get a hard inquiry on that application because my account was not 90 days old. After 90 days, you can apply online, and if not, you will need to apply with a banker in person. Now, for this credit card, it's stated income, it's no documentation, and it helps if you build your internal credit profile with Wells Fargo. Now, in the past, I've seen branches that allow you to apply for both a business credit card and a business line of credit on the same day. However, others require you to choose one and wait 60 to 90 days for the second product. And again, it just seems to vary by the banker. Now, if you decide to wait or apply for the Signify Business Credit Card, you want to actively use your Wells Fargo business checking and savings account. Ideally, you want to run $10,000 to $50,000 or even more than that per month through this account. Now, these deposits don't have to come from sales only. There are many people who strategically funnel funds from 0% cards or other accounts to demonstrate activity. The goal is to show real cash flow and consistency. However, using additional Wells Fargo products does help. So if you're in branch, they will most likely offer you their merchant services account. If you can actually use that, then I would definitely recommend it. Consistent account usage, all of that will strengthen your internal score. Now, this is where most people fail. They rush. This is not a sprint. You're building trust before asking for leverage. So after 3 to 6 months of strong activity, you can return to the branch, you speak with the relationship manager, and you explain that you have established a solid banking relationship and you would like to apply for the maximum unsecured business line of credit, which once again is $50,000 if your business is less than 2 years old. Behind the scenes, Wells Fargo will review your personal credit score, your business credit score, your SBSS score, your internal bank rating, your deposit history, and your account behavior, and of course, your overall business legitimacy. When all of these pieces align, approvals are absolutely achievable without any documentation. Now, if your goal is to get the larger line of credit, the next 3 to 6 months after you get approved is very important. There are predictable reasons why people will fail, like too many recent personal credit inquiries that will kill your chances. You have too many new accounts in the last 6 to 12 months because that will signal a risk warning, or a thin credit profile. Even if you have an 800 credit score with, let's say, $1,000 limits, that's weaker than a 720 score with multiple $20,000 credit card accounts. Business compliance also matters. Your business information must match across the Secretary of State, the IRS bank records, your website, and your Google business profile. Wells Fargo prefers real physical addresses over virtual offices and PO boxes, and that's a red flag for future funding tiers. But it isn't that big of a deal. When I opened my Wells Fargo account in branch, I just used my physical address, my residential one. However, I was able to update the mailing address to my business one online, which was a virtual address. Now, if you're unaware of how to make sure that all your business information matches across the Secretary of State, the IRS, bank records, websites, and the Google business profile, I have an entire video that talks about how to structure your business. I'm going to link that video right here. I highly recommend that you watch that. Finally, let's clear up one of the biggest myths in business funding. There is no such thing as unlimited, no documentation funding with Wells Fargo. No doc approvals are realistic up to roughly $25,000 to, let's say, $50,000, depending on the product and the relationship. Now, once you move beyond that range, one of two things must happen. Either you have to establish a trusted relationship with Wells Fargo, which again, we already discussed, or you need to provide documentation. Anyone telling you that you can walk into every bank and pull $150,000 with no proof that your business is making any sort of money, or no tax returns or no documentation whatsoever, they're not being honest with you. Like I've said before, I've done underwriting in the past. Banks lend based on risk. Risk is reduced by time, trust, and of course, proof. There are 3 ways you can apply with Wells Fargo. Online applications, which require account history and they offer the least amount of flexibility. There are also branch applications, which allow easier access but still rely heavily on automated systems. And then the strongest option is working directly with a business relationship manager who understands your full financial picture and can advocate for you internally. I want to be very clear about this. You do not have to pay someone to do this for you. You can go down to a branch. You can open and fund your account. You can apply for a credit card and then use other services. Once you have some history, call around and speak to a relationship manager. Let them know how much time you've put in. They'll see your transactions. They'll see your deposits. They'll see how you've used this account. They'll see your history, things like that. You want to establish that on your own. Preparation always comes first. Clean credit, proper structure, active accounts, and patience will determine the outcome and how much money you get approved for. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you got any value from this, please like and subscribe. I truly appreciate that. I make several videos per week showing you how to access tons of capital and funding for your business or how to repair your personal credit. And I definitely want to continue doing this for you guys. And it really does help when you subscribe and you also like the videos and even engage in the comments. Now, if you have any questions for me on how this works, I'd be more than happy to answer that for you. If you would like more videos about Wells Fargo products, please drop a comment below that says Wells Fargo. That lets me know you want more information about this bank. And again, I'd be more than happy to make that content. Again, thank you so much for watching this video, and you guys have a wonderful day.